In 2020, something weird happened. And I'm not talking about the virus. No, something far stranger. In the midst of a pandemic and widespread protests, an online micro-community would get its public debut, pulled into the town square to be viewed and judged. Today, Femboys. In case you've been inhabiting a rock for the past few years, here's the lowdown on Femboys. Think of a boy, now make it fem. If you've been into anime for any amount of time, you're probably more familiar with the term trap. Characters like Felix, Astolfo, Hideri are all examples of traps. For the uninitiated, the reason they're called traps is because the reveal of their gender is generally played for comedy or shock. They trap the audience into being attracted to them before revealing their true gender.
Huh? No, him! That's right. He's a knight by the name of Felix Argyle. And despite all appearances, he is male.
Yes! This narrative device is old as dirt, and by extension has a lot of examples throughout animation and other media. From my earlier examples, I think it's clear that this cliche reached its peak over the last few years. But what do traps have to do with femboys? Well, in 2020, we would see the collision of the anime and real world, a crossing of the streams between the online phenomena of traps and the real-life phenomena of femboys. Look at this graph. If you're thinking, this stuff's been around forever, what are you talking about? You're on this side of that bump. If you've never heard of this before, you're at this point. What is that bump? Well, like every weird dance or fad, this explosion started on TikTok. On Gen Z's Vine, the trend kicked off with the hashtag Femboy Friday. And today, on TikTok, that hashtag has more than 600 million views. That's over 5 times the viewership of the last Super Bowl, or, in metric, about one FIFA World Cup game. Now, TikTok is worthless for finding anything older than a few weeks, so it's very hard to figure out where this trend got started. However, it's widely accepted that this guy is the original TikTok femboy. His latest video from a year ago only has 10,000 views, which really goes to show you how fleeting this app is. App aside, that sus boy would lay the groundwork for what would become the biggest trend heading into lockdowns. And this little hashtag would grow to the point that even celebrities were clout sharking on it. And this sudden surge in popularity among the normies also saw a surge among we cringy few anime viewers. As you can see, there's a pretty clear bump in trends among all the popular traps in anime at this time. Oh, and that bump in Astolfo's trend line in 2021 is another thing. You can look it up on your own time, but if you ever wondered why you see so many drawings of Astolfo with Monster energy drinks, well, that bulge is why, which is a timely transition into the red light district of this video. See, while some people were intrigued by the weirdness of this boundary-pushing trend and enjoyed the edginess of it, others liked what they saw. A lot. An easy shorthand for this is subreddit growth over time, and it's pretty clear that the boom in 2020 was followed by mini booms across the more, risque sides of the femboy community. And this is where the memes become reality. Because the places that boomed the hardest in the wake of this were trap hentai and its sister sub, femboy hentai. Why would these subs in particular go so parabolic in the wake of this trend? Well, I've got a theory. Let's assume the underlying appeal of femboys is the sort of bait-and-switch nature of it. We know that people react most strongly to novelty when it comes to porn. This is where the well-trodden downward spiral of depravity comes from. The process of seeing a woman, being attracted to that woman, and then having it revealed to be a man is an exhilaratingly novel experience. This reveal, like any reveal, works a lot better when it comes out of nowhere. If the mark starts to think they might be a man, then the gig is up. And obviously, concealing that fact on a man who went through a male puberty can be quite a task. Well, anime doesn't have that problem. A trap character has the ability to look exactly like a female down to every last detail. They don't have to worry about correcting a bone structure or taking hormones to get proper fat distribution. They just draw a girl. So in a way, animation, and in this case hentai, gives the ultimate reveal. Because the characters are not restrained by the realities of biology, the normal novelty of the experience gets jacked up to 11 in animation, and is therefore more attractive to the, male gaze. So when this femboy trend took off, the, most interested among us came across these anime communities that were effectively built around the fentanyl of femboys, the Trimadol of traps, the benzos of bussy. The point being, the drawn version of a gender-bending character will always be more convincing than the real version. Art is often perfect where reality falls short. But beyond the artistic influences, femboys have served as a very soft introduction to bisexuality for a huge portion of the anime community. Nobody has held this poll, but it wouldn't surprise me if a good portion of the bisexual males in the anime community are just straight guys who think traps are hot. And I do think we're being a bit generous with terms if finding an anatomically perfect female with a dick hot qualifies you as bi, but if you want to go swimming in the Rainbow Lake, I'm not the femboy police. There are others in the community who are hostile towards this sexualization, though. Obviously, for some people, this is a lifestyle, and it's pretty reasonable for someone to resent their entire lifestyle being boiled down into a kink. But let me offer an alternative perspective. The overt sexualization of femboys and traps is a good thing. It's actually two good things. One of those good things is that it shows progress in terms of acceptance. Most sexual acceptance movements start off as being seen as degenerate and risque and evolve into normalcy. Gays in the 60s were the edgiest thing imaginable. And now my gay neighbors have 2 kids in a minivan. Every fringe movement goes through this normalization process. A second good thing from this femboy craze is that it provides an outlet for boys who would otherwise be ridiculed for their preferences. And what makes this ridicule particularly odd is that I think everyone knew or knows a girl who would qualify as a tomboy. The tough and grizzled tomboy is even more common in media than the trap character. It's almost a cliche in kids' shows at this point. And it just seems unfair that a girl who acts and dresses like a boy is a tomboy and a guy who acts and dresses like a girl is weird. And probably gay. I think through things like Femboy Friday, those assumptions will wear away, and that's a good thing. Because the fact of the matter is that whether these boys are gay or trans or just going through a phase, they are real, and it shouldn't be social suicide if they want to wear a dress or something. That Susboy said in his Vice interview that Femboy Friday gave him a community and a place to be himself. I think, as weird as it sounds, anime and the phenomena of traps from that have done a lot of the groundwork to make a trend like this possible. I mean, where did you first hear about the concept of a man dressing and acting like a woman? It was probably in an anime. Here, put this on. The reveal of a trap will always be a punchline. I don't think that's going to change for a long, long time. What Femboy Friday and the runoff communities of that explosion are doing is grinding away at the normalization of this community. And being seen as weird or funny is a hell of a lot better than being seen as disgusting. And however much people wish progress would come faster, this is what it looks like. Slow, piece-by-piece normalization. And femboys, in particular, are a good showpiece, because much like gays, it's a lifestyle that barely affects anyone outside of it. Now that you've got that chef hat on, we're gonna scramble some eggs or scramble some Beautiful girl.